Okay. Yeah, let's look at this. Where is my thing? There we go. Hi, my name is Rodrigo. Welcome to twitch.tv/lpicachon, or if you're watching this later on YouTube, Lopez Family Variety Channel. As always, I am joined by my sidekick, Smokey the Smoke Detector. Um, and yeah, this is gonna be a short stream. We're just gonna play some Gems of War and chat. Assuming people come over to chat. If not, we'll just play game Gems of War. So there's that. Okay. If you are watching, let me know if the gems are being too loud, because I kept the sound effects because people like the mana surge sound. I can probably just bring all of this down a little bit. There we go.
Mana Surge.
Mana Surge! That's right. Thank you, SJW, or St. JW. I really appreciate the sub. Yeah, just hanging out playing get Gems of War, hoping to get a Mana Surge. It sounds okay. Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm glad. Uh, Trying to get some gold for my cow. When matched, dragon gems will explode all gems below them in their column. That's new. They're always adding new stuff. Although I think they did away with some of the old stuff too. Like they try stuff out, and then if people don't like it, they change it up. CJW says I haven't played this in a while. Snap has taken over. Yeah, I can see that. Oh, I got everything I want ready to go. Oh, I need something to eat before the beast is ready. This gem will inflict web on a random enemy, reducing their magic to 0 until they recover. Okay, good to know.
I'll be taking this.
Let's see. Up, I got him webbed and dragoned. Oh, I forgot to read. I forgot what this does. I think it turns everything blue. Nope, purple. Definitely just gave my opponent some purple gems to use. Ugh. Okay, time to devour. Well, should I use their ability first? Because there's only one person left. What is this? 7 damage. Oh, there's just all kinds of spiders now. Oh, they made more spiders. Okay, so yeah, definitely let's devour then.
Mana Surge.
Mana Surge. Let's see. What do I want to do?
Mana Surge.
I always hope that it will like auto trigger some skulls, but it pretty much never does. Yay! Yeah, Gems of War is fun. It's like I'm always really surprised that it's not more popular, but it seems to be doing well. I guess it doesn't advertise itself aggressively like a lot of other games do. I mean, it is kind of like a mobile game for stealing your money, um, but I think it's pretty good. It's also nice because it you can there's like lots to do. There's lots to play um, without having to pay. If you want to play it competitively, if you want to go up against other players, then you actually definitely need to pay. Just because it takes so long to level up a troop. Lagnus. Quote 17, Obstagoon, Obstagoon. Yeah, that's the end of Pokemon Sword. Quote 18 is, Boogity Boogity, give me your uncommons. It's there. It's 13. Yeah. Quote number 13. The main problem with D&D is that it's very stupid. And as we have seen, that is in fact the case, not just for the game itself, but for the company that runs it. Have you guys been keeping up with the whole D&D OGL fiasco? I've been trying to, and because Wizards spend so much time just not saying anything, it hasn't been too hard to keep up. But there was like a new thing today that came out. Stop it. I'm trying to make some spiders. Uh, yep. Oh, there's a mana surge quote too. I was looking for it. Oh, I don't remember which one it is, but yeah, one of the quotes is mana surge.
Mana surge.
You probably don't need to find it today because there's going to be plenty of mana surges. Mana
Mana
surge.
surge.
Um, Ostelai Metauli. Maybe? Yeah, just read another PR flop on DDB. Yeah, they're just not very good at this. Yeah, the latest thing on D&D is that they're like, hey, I know you guys are mad, but on the plus side, we are going to, instead of coming out with an OGL or like anybody who is like they should just roll back to the first one, they're not going to, right? That is something that is definitely not going to happen. Um, oh snap, that worked. They're not going to go back to the old OGL. They're definitely not. So they're now what they're saying is they are going to sort of crowdsource the OGL. They're like, hey, if you we're gonna send out a survey about what you want, and we're gonna put out like a test OGL, and then you guys can read it and see if you like it. And here's the thing: a lot of people suspect, or some people suspect, that this is going to
Mana
be
surge.
basically a way for WotC
Mana surge.
to justify whatever new OGL comes out, because we are not going to be able to see those numbers, right? So they're going to be able to say stuff like, "Oh, yeah, like we got all the stuff in, and people are really happy about this clause that gives us control of your mom." So I don't know. I worry about it. Oh, this is a brand new one. Those might start getting too rich for my blood eventually. Um, so that's the worry there with that survey, because they're probably not gonna let us see the survey results as they happen. Lagnus says, I suspect they don't want to risk D&D 5.5 from Paizo when 6E launches. I mean, that's already happening, right? Um, Paizo and other people are like, hey, forget Wizards of the Coast's OGL. We have a new OGL that you can use, and people are like, yes, thank you, Paizo. And I'm like, you don't you don't need an OGL, especially Paizo's seems to be like is they're saying is like system agnostic, and I'm like, the only real point of the OGL is to get access to the SRD, is to get access to like the mechanical aspects of Magic, or not Magic, D&D, but Magic within D&D. So it's like there's kind of no point to an OGL without it. What they're saying is this is going to be like a shared document where players can, or not players, but uh, sort of like creators can add to the OGL and add their stuff, and then other people can use it, and that's fine. I guess that's really the main selling point there. But again, a system agnostic OGL, there's kind of no point. It's just easier if people, um, yeah, if people just use the OGL on their own, or rather, if people don't use the OGL and just write stuff on their own. Um, Ostelai Metauli says, I just now appreciate what you did with critical hit content and amount of different games presentation, even if it started with 4E, cough cough. Yeah, I mean, I'm not ashamed of the fact that we started with Dungeons and Dragons. That game got made because Steven Schleicher was curious about Dungeons and Dragons. Like, I don't think I would have been able to talk him into playing an RPG, like of making an RPG show, if not for the fact that he had that interest, right? Like, you kind of need that interest to get people on board. Oops. Likeness says a lot of companies use the OGL without the system. It's been the easy way for 3PP like Chaosium. That's fair. I mean, it does have like terms that you're allowed to use. Um, I guess the thing is the OGL is both, right? The OGL, like Wizards OGL, was you get to use these terms and you get to use the system verbatim. So that's why it was helpful to have the OGL. I still think that nobody needs to come up with a new OGL. There are Creative Commons licenses. You can just do that. I don't think that changes things too drastically. I don't think. I mean, but I'm not a copyright lawyer, right? So uh, that's the thing, is everybody's trying to, is like, this is an opportunity where like WotC has shown some weakness, right? And because of that, a lot of people are trying, they're not trying to help you, they're trying to usurp the king, right? They're not like, oh, I know, we'll do this thing that will be better for the community. They're like, this is our chance to kill and eat the king. I don't even remember what this does. 7 damage to an enemy and disease them. Deal triple damage if they have a death mark. Let's see. Likeness says a lot of companies use the. Oh yeah. I like how WotC was. Oh, it's to stop hateful material, because it's hard to argue with that even when it's totally false. Except that it's not, because hateful material still made it into the Dungeon Masters Guild or whatever. So clearly, A, it doesn't help with that because it still happened, and B, um, there's no court, right? That will like that won't rule in your favor if you like go to your platform and remove bigoted content. And the original OGL also covered for that, right? Like the OGL has a passage about basically being able to remove content that is hateful or problematic. So yeah, they're like, oh, this was just because we love you, and it's like we want to make things happy for you. And it's like, no, no, you really don't. Um, but it's been interesting. It's been real interesting to see. Like I think I underestimated a lot of D&D creators. I assumed that a lot of them were going to like bend the knee and just be like, "Hey guys, let's just, let's just see what they want to say." Like hoping to be like the little toady that gets to stay. And almost no one has done that, which is nice. Like I don't follow a lot of D&D creators because I don't actually like D&D that much. Um, but obviously all of this stuff has been bubbling up uh, in my on my queue. Mana Surge. Thank you, Horsepoint Mine, for the subscription. I really appreciate it. We're of course, talking about. We're playing Games of War, talking about D&D. Which of these should I pop? This is gonna like web them. Oh, maybe not. But it'll make some purple gems, which I can use. What color do I want to turn purple? Blue. So yeah, as I was saying, I'm really like it's weird for me to say like I'm proud of like a lot of D&D people, like a lot of D&D influencers and creators for not just bootlicking WotC. Like I said, I underestimated them because I expected a lot more of them to be like, ooh, let's just do what WotC says, guys. Ooh, what if they take D&D away from us? I'm really happy with how many content creators and D&D peeps are like, welp, they're doing something terrible. I guess I have to change what my channel's about, and they're just freaking doing it. Of course, I'm less proud of people that have done that, that maybe have put out nebulous, murky statements that can kind of be read either way, like, we support the community, and then, like, nothing else. So, make of that what you will. Thank you, Horsepine Mine, for what is really turning out to be this channel's favorite quote. Um, yes, that's how it started. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with it, but it's been real interesting. I think that there were a lot of elements in D&D like content creation, which is the side that I'm most interested in, right? Because for the longest time I was a D&D content creator. Um, so I'm interest. It's been interesting to see how people react to it, how people respond. Like I said, some people are like, it's like I'm gonna pivot to something else. Some people are like, please, please, please cancel your D&D Beyond subscription so that Wizard gets it, so that they can dial things back to the way they were. And like I feel a little sad about that because D&D or WotC is definitely not gonna dial it back, right? They're gonna come up with a new OGL no matter what, or some sort of new document. Um, so to those guys, I say I'm sorry, but D&D is definitely gonna change. And as I was saying, a lot of people are like, "Woo, yay Paizo," or "Yay whoever," for making like
Mana
the
surge.
a new OGL, right, that we can all use. And I'm like, again, I'm like, you actually don't need an OGL to create content. Like
Mana surge.
if what they wanted to do is help the community, they would have put that stuff in Creative Commons or just created something that was like the OGL 1.1 that was like, hey, use our stuff. So Paizo, right? Paizo's putting out a system agnostic OGL, and like that's not what Wizards did. Wizards was like, here are our mechanics. You can use our mechanics. Paizo is not putting Pathfinder 2's mechanics up for grabs, right? That's not what they're doing. Like they might be putting uh, some Pathfinder verbiage up for grabs, but they're not putting their mechanics up for grabs, and it's like, what's the point then? Like, why? Like, am I supposed to be like, rah rah, you guys go if you're not even willing to do what D&D did to begin with? What's gotten everybody so upset, right? It's like Wizards of the Coast put D&D's
Mana surge.
mechanics up for grabs. It's like if you're not doing at least that, then I don't think anybody needs to cheer for it, and we should just see it as like a business move, which is fair, like, and which I don't think is bad. Ah! Oh. Let's see. Horseman says, apologies if I'm retreading the same ground, but I think Wizards is really discovering what happens when they have cultivated a young, progressive, aware audience. Yeah. Somebody had a pretty good meme, which was um, like that meme of like a car being hit by a train, and the car is like Watsy trying to get an OGL 1.1, and the train was like a community centered around reading rules and interpreting them and trying to find like problems with them. So yeah, like that was one of my first thoughts. I was like, you can't trick D&D nerds with a contract, because D&D nerds are used to reading arcane language, arcane in the cryptic sense, and figuring out what it means. And they did, and they got mad, right? Um, Likeness says, we support the community, but we make millions off of this, and WotC, and we'll use a big sack of money to play 6e when it launches. Yeah, I see what murky stuff you meant. Yep. That is kind of what I mean. That is what I was referring to. I think it's so funny that they said we're gonna do a community playtest process when like there's no way they're going to do that. It's a legal document. You don't crowdsource that. Exactly. I was saying before that my fear is that they're going to put out those surveys and then they're just going to tell us whatever they want, right? They can just lie to us about the surveys. They're not going to show us in real time what the surveys are doing. So it looks like there's plenty of people on the inside of Wizards of the Coast who have been leaking stuff. So I hope that those guys, A, don't get fired, and B, can continue to inform the community. Um, Ostelai Metauli says, I think they actually can go back to Pathfinder if it will be more popular for the show. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Likeness says they will not go back to Pathfinder, and in a year this will be mostly forgotten, and once it will have 79% instead of 80%. That's my happy prediction. I mean, you're probably right. This is an opportunity for people to grab tiny amounts of the role playing game share that's out there, right? So yeah, some people are gonna leave and some people are gonna start doing other stuff, but when you have a juggernaut like D&D, like it's hard to take them down by one thing. They're getting close. Like D&D did, like WotC made a very dumb move with this OGL. So they're getting close to just being wrecked, but they're totally gonna bounce back. Um, it's really funny how Paizo jumped off WotC canceled schedule announcement. It's really funny how Paizo jumped of WotC canceled schedule announcement. I don't understand that. I'm sorry. Uh, like some kind of manufactured consent or something. Yeah. Like it says, I am fine with the statement by whoever made that statement. I hate them for bullying the hashtag from some older podcast and then just straight up stealing a character. All right. All right. We don't need to get into that. We don't need to get into that. Uh, Hashtag we did it first. Horseman says, to be fair, I think this is easily the biggest blow to D&D Stranglehold in my memory. Probably not going to be the big shift, but it's something. Yeah, it really is. Like, so, like, there's a... It's like when your brand revolves around fostering a community, um, then you are sort of beholden to that community, right? And that's what D&D is. And D&D is always saying stuff like that. They're like, "Whoa, look at all this awesome stuff that our community has created. Wow, wow, wow. Isn't it great? Isn't it great how we can all just come together and play together and be happy and have fun together? Together like a community. Community, isn't that great, the community? Isn't it great how we support the community?" So when they tip their hand and they show that, that guy who's like, support the community, is just a puppet and there's like a giant corporate spider controlling it, people get upset, right? It's like if you hear that Philip Morris did something crappy, you're like, well, that's a huge crappy conglomerate. They're like, you know, they're terrible. So sure, you know. Uh, but when a company sets themselves up as this like friendly, cool, helpful, permissive, like cool guy that's going to let you do whatever you want, and then they show themselves that they're not that, it really upsets people. And I think a lot of people feel betrayed by Dungeons and Dragons and by WotC. And I think for a lot of people that's not going to go away. Like, this was the last straw for a lot of people, right? I think you're right. I think eventually D&D is going to recover from this and keep doing their thing, and it'll be like nothing ever happened. But I think there are going to be lots of individuals out there who are like, I am never touching a D&D product again, and good for them. That's perfectly fine, right? I support that. I said I'm never touching a D&D product again because I got I got so tired of D&D after running it for 10 years that I was like, I don't need to run or play D&D again, thank you. Um, I mean, I might play it if somebody invites me to a game, but I'm definitely not keeping up with like the mechanics of it. And when they announced that they're basically working on a new edition, I wasn't like, oh, maybe this will be the edition for me to come back. I wasn't. I was like, good for them. I don't care. And then they started just like shooting themselves in every one of their feet, and I was like, what? So I started paying attention again. Uh, let's see. Likeness says the biggest blow to D&D was 4E when they got knocked off from the top selling system. Bet they don't want to repeat that. The biggest blow so far, because this is the biggest blow to D&D. Like, they lost some money from the 4E stuff. Like, they are losing like 5 or 6 digit sums from D&D Beyond canceled subscriptions. So they're losing a lot of money. It's like if your rubric is books sold, and before that had to be your rubric, yeah, the 4E thing might still be bigger. But if you look at it just like money lost, is going to be this. 100% it's going to be this. This is much bigger than that because the community is so much bigger now. It used to be, that there were like, 20 people playing D&D. Now there's like 200,000 people playing D&D. And that's precisely why Wizards got greedy. They're like, all these people are playing D&D and we're only seeing a fraction of that money. Give us more of that money. And like immediately, I knew that they were gonna screw it up because they don't understand how it works, right? It's like people create content for D&D using the OGL, and each creator makes a pittance from something they create, right? When you add them all together, yeah, it's like $1 million or more, of money that is being very thinly spread across the entire community. But Wizards doesn't see that. They don't see each individual creator. They see just money. They can see that there's money, and they're like, aha, if we do something to get a share of that, to get like a cut of that, then we'll have them. But yeah, what they didn't realize is that people make content for D&D to begin with because the OGL was like permissive and helpful. If you change that, then they won't make content for D&D, and that money will just be gone, right? That's why they didn't get. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't have an MBA, and I get that. So it's like, why don't these guys get that? They should understand that. Let's see. Ostelai Metauli says Paizo presented the idea for open license orc 1 hour after the scheduled video stream from WotC everyone waited for should have been happened. Oh, you're saying Paizo had this in the chamber. I mean, I believe that. I can see that, but also Paizo is a much smaller company, so they had like from the leak, they had several days to do that, right? It was like 2 or 3 days before it came out. So Paizo is a small enough, agile enough company that they can be like, guys, D&D just shot itself in the face. We need to do something about this, and everybody gets on a call, and they slap something together, right? So I don't think that this was like some sort of like planned thing. I think that maybe Paizo had this in the works a little bit, and then they saw this happen, and they're like, we need to finalize this now. Horseman Man says, I don't remember where I heard this. Let's just talk for a little bit. Horseman Mind says, I don't remember where I heard this, but someone pointed out that a lot of the ire here is because this affected creators directly, and so many fans have direct contact with their creators through streams, podcasts, TikTok, etc. If you're a newer fan and your favorite influence pivots, you're going to follow them. Yeah, I mean, I said that. I'm not saying that I was the first to said that, but I said that. I was like, when this stuff was first coming out, I was like, hey, listen, guys, if you're just like a small group, like a little tabletop group, and you only play with WotC stuff anyway, right? If you only play with like the Monster Manual and Xanatar's Guide and whatever Volo's monsters, like if that's all you're playing with, this does not affect you. Like this does not affect you in any way. And yeah, it's like I do think that this is okay. So like I do think that this is impactful. I think that if this OGL had happened, it would have impacted the long-term health of D&D. It would have impacted the creativity coming out of D&D compatible products, right? Basically by drying out the things that the community was bringing. But that impact was reverberated 10,000 fold because the OGL directly impacts content creators, the leaked OGL. So yeah, all us content creators were like, and so started making a stink. And if literally every content creator you listen to makes a stink, then a stink will be made, right? And it's like everybody was on board. Like your like your guys that are just like, I made a new map and I put it on my Patreon. Those guys got on board. The guys that are like, here's how you can play Arsène Lupin in D&D. Those guys jumped on board. The guys that are like, you USJW cucks are ruining D&D. Those guys jumped on board. It's like everybody was on board. Everybody was mad at WotC, and so the entire community got mad at WotC because the people they watch and respect and care about got mad at WotC. So yeah, it was like it definitely was a thing. If this didn't, if from the beginning the OGL 1.1 hadn't impacted content creation, there would have been maybe two sides to this argument, but because it seemed to, from a legal standpoint, everybody jumped on board and they reverberated this throughout the universe. Ostele Metauli says each somehow the best thing for WotC was not to do anything and the player base would grow on itself. Yeah, if they had just left the OGL alone, they could have continued to just grow and farm this. And they could have instituted something where they're like, hey, we reserve the right to contact you and put your stuff in official content, and we'll pay you peanuts for it, but you'll get to say that it's unofficial content, and then the individual creator can say yes or no, right? Because your info is in the DM's guild anyway, so they can contact you at any time. Horseman says, "We want your money, your money." Aslad at Hasbro exec, both probably yes, definitely. Just don't feed them spiders. Yeah, don't feed them at all. Lagna says, "Yeah, Paizo, Cobalt Press, Chaosium, and those are together in for that ORC." Yeah. Malone says, "Hi guys, what did I just walk into?" And of course, we're talking about D&D. Horseman says, "Lol, sorry to steal your talking point and throw it back there. I thought it was really on point." Well, thank you. And again, I'm sure you could have heard it somewhere else. Other people are saying that. That's again because it's content creators that are up in a tizzy. A lot of them aren't gonna say that, right? A lot of them aren't gonna say like this. Like, I'm pissed off because it affects my livelihood. A lot of them are like, this is like terrible. And the thing is like it is, right? But it's not as terrible as content for individual players as content creators make it out to be yet, right? The other thing that has come out is the way that they're hoping to like marshal out this edition where like you have to have a subscription and you don't get access to homebrew stuff unless your subscription is a certain tier. That's definitely bad and affects the consumer immediately and directly, right? If you want to get on board with the new edition. And then the other thing is that the OGL also affected VTTs, right? Affected virtual tabletops. The OGL leak. It affected virtual tabletops, and that does impact a huge amount of the community, especially post. Well, I don't want to say post-COVID because we're still freaking dealing with it, but post-initial lockdown where a lot of people found online communities. MK12MU2, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. MK12MU2 says, "I want to offer a promotion of your channel. Viewers, followers, views, chatbots. The price is lower than any competitor. The quality is guaranteed the best." How do I block someone? Anyway, don't click on that, guys. Let's see. I like this as Baron. Is your article out, Malone? Malone says it's more like my quotes than my own piece, but it should be if editor came through. Oh, editor. Malone says, "I think we all know they backpedaled for now, but these corporations never completely give up on this." No. We got video game microtransactions kind of deal here. Absolutely. And that is explicitly what they're doing. They are it wasn't even leaked on a public call to investors. They said D&D has never made more money, but it's under monetized. So we want to see more video game like monetization of it. They said that out loud, right? That was actually the first like far off like thunder that we heard of this, right? It's like a lot of people didn't care, but again, a lot of content creators were like, "Wait a minute, that sounds terrible." And already people were like they're like, if WotC does this, I'm walking, and like they didn't even get to it because WotC came up with an even worse idea. Um, you saying I shouldn't click on dogehype.com? No, don't click on it. Why not click on it? I want to be famous. No, Lagnus. This is not going to make you famous. It's going to make you famously. I mean, it might make you famous, and that they might steal your identity and make that famous. But that's not how you want to do it. What's the article? I don't know if you can print. I don't know if you can put URLs on here, guys. If you're on the if you're on the Major Spoilers Discord, you might be able to link it there. But I don't think you can link articles on my or URLs on my page right now, specifically to avoid people like MK12MU2. But thank for the follow. Yeah. So it's been a real interesting couple weeks. Again, I'm pretty happy with the way that people have responded. Not because I have any sort of like grudge or anything against WotC, which I really don't. Right? It's like WotC is a company. They're doing what they want to do. It's fine. But it's been interesting to see again who has bended the knee, who has called them out, and I think there's a lot of people that that have a lot to lose from this, um, that have actually stepped up and said, "Hey, this is bad," right? Like, um, oh, my doctor got back to me on my chart. So yeah, it's been interesting to see who is taking a risk by speaking out, right? And who is playing it safe. Let's see. Oh, Star Wanderer. That's cool. Um, so yeah. What am I doing here? Yeah, let's play Gems of War. James of War. Blah, 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 in game. Is there something better for me? I guess not.
Mana Surge.
Mana Surge. Um, I'm just gonna. Yeah, I'm just gonna eat the cow now. Malone Hasco says it's an institution here. Many pros came from there and been running for decades. So, as a complete amateur and industry outsider, is kind of exciting. Yeah, good job. No, I'm glad to hear that. It's always exciting to get published in like something prestigious. So yeah, good job. Congratulations. Mana Surge! Where am I?
Mana Surge.
Oh, Mana Surge. Don't ever change. Oh.
Mana Surge.
Wah.
Mana Surge.
Let's power that up. Gonna eat this guy, I think. I guess. Okay, now gonna eat this guy.
Mana Surge.
Let's see. Likeness says, well, I think quote 13 has done its job, and that was a highlight of today. Now I need to go to sleep. All right. See you later, Lagnus.
Mana
Oh,
Surge.
I should have probably done that. Sludge.
Mana Surge. Mana Surge.
No. Don't web my beast. Makes him sad. What am I looking at here? So yeah, what else is going on? Oh, I don't know if you guys like Fire Emblem, but I'm excited about the new Fire Emblem that's coming out. Fire Emblem Engage. I've really done a 180 on it as I've seen the promotional materials, because at first it's like it starts out with like, hey guys, this new Fire Emblem game is coming out and you get to like experience like old characters from the series, and I'm like, well,
Mana Surge.
I don't want old characters in my Fire Emblem. I want a whole new cast of like delightfully ridiculous anime sword and sorcery guys, right? That's what I'm looking for. I don't want to play with Marth, and I don't want to play with Roy. Like, those guys had their games. But the more I've seen it, the more that it seems that uh, the majority of the interactions are with your crew, right? With like the real people that you hire, as opposed to the emblem rings um, who are not like the main focus of the story as characters, right? They're important for the story as objects, but not as characters necessarily. So, so I've really turned around, and really, what's sold me on it is that in one of the previews, there's this thing that happens, and the main character looks surprised, and she kind of makes like a very surprised face. She's like, "Bah!" And I was like, "Oh my god, did they give a Fire Emblem protagonist a personality?" I don't think that's happened since Ike. So that's actually what sold me on it. I was like, is this character gonna be like something? Is he gonna be like, he or she not gonna be like a blank slate like Byleth was? So I'm hoping that that's true. I'm hoping that the character does have some sort of like personality, motivation, that sort of thing. And actually, unlike a lot of people, I really like the style. I think it's super cute. I like how bright it is, and I like how I like I just it looks like a cute little anime, and I'm into that. Horse19 says, "Don't Web My Beast" is my favorite self-help communications book. Yeah. Malone Haskell says, "I do like my SRPG, but actually don't play them often, so time consuming that they are." I'm playing Super Robot Wars 30 now. Been 100 plus hours. It's Super Robot Wars 30. They've come out with 30 of those, or is it like 2030? Still, like Metauli says, it seems to have gotten good reviews in Western press, whatever it's worth. Yeah, actually, it has overwhelmingly good reviews, which is another reason why I'm interested in it. Um, and a lot of the negative stuff is tends to center around the art style, which I like a lot. I think it looks good. So yeah, I'm not bothered by
Mana surge.
the art style.
Surge.
Oh, starting out very strong.
Surge.
That was a lot of matches for me just starting out. Sacrifice the cow. Okay.
Mana surge.
Why would that web the same guy that's already webbed? Do I not have the option of webbing a different webbed guy? Boogity boogity. Let's eat this guy. Unless there's something better. Nope. Beast. Eat this disgusting hell spawn. Malone says, "Crazy anime weirdo character sounds like my jam more than regular fantasy people." Sure. It's 30th anniversary of Super Robot Wars. There are actually like 15 to 20 of them or so. So pretty close. You're right. There could be a 30th one here pretty soon. Oh, I think the death mark got them. All right. What needs to be purple? I think red needs to be purple. That should give me a ton of mana, and should, in fact, perhaps, trigger a mana surge. Nope. Let's see.
Mana surge.
I think last game I actually had time to play was Necrosmith, an almost auto-battler golem construction simulator with strong Heroes of Might and Magic 3 vibes. That sounds cool.
Mana surge.
Was it on PC? Let's see. Stop webbing my beast. Oh, he actually has enough to eat someone, so let's do that. Making skulls, killing people, everyone mana surge. Webbing my beast is illegal. It's in Steam. Okay, that sounds interesting. Um, a while ago, so a long time ago, like a few years ago, I played Disgaea 5. I don't know if any of you guys have played Disgaea 5, but I played Disgaea 5 and I loved it. I had a really good time playing it. Um, and so Disgaea 6 came out several months ago, and I bought it first day and I started playing it, and
Mana
I
surge.
just was not having the same reaction to it. So I don't know. I haven't played very many Disgaea games. I don't know if maybe Disgaea 6 is like somewhat inferior version of the game, or if I was just maybe it was too similar, right? It didn't have any like significantly different like combat mechanics. I don't know. I didn't really sit down to think about what it was that made me kind of not want to keep playing that game.
Mana
But I felt really
surge.
bad
Mana
because
surge.
initially I was very excited because I really liked Disgaea 5. So Disgaea 7 is going to be coming out soon. So I might check that out. It's going to have a, like, all Disgaea games since 5 at least have had a demo. So, although I played Disgaea 6 demo and I was like, yeah, 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 okay, yeah, that's cool. And then I ended up not liking it, so, you know. Ew. Malone says, I may have over leveled though. Feels like no one can touch my twin Mazinger, Getter Robo, and Gundam team back with SSSSS. Gridman team might have done too many side quests compared to story missions. Yeah, this guy should be right. If you like Fire Emblem, like, and I do, and you like tactical turn-based RPGs, which I also do, you should love Disgaea. And I definitely love Disgaea 5. Like, unfortunately, the more I look at the Disgaea series, it feels like Disgaea 5 is actually the odd man out. Like, it. Don't get me wrong, 5 has a ton of comedy in it. Like, just constant jokes. But it's like, it's still like way less jokey than 6. Like, in 6, there's just like the characters you recruit are like straight up jokes, right? They're like really weird guys that are doing weird stuff, as opposed to the characters in Disgaea who are all sort of motivated to join because of like what the bad guy has done. So I don't know. It's interesting. Um, it's weird that yeah, maybe because I jumped in on a game that was different from most of them, my expectations changed. Which, stop webbing my critters. Anyway, so yeah, when I got into Disgaea 5, I think Disgaea 5 is the odd duck in the series, which is probably what's going to happen to people that jumped on with Fire Emblem Three Houses when they play Engage, right? Because they're like, oh yeah, Fire Emblem, that's that game where you have a calendar and you fight on the weekends, and in the meantime, you have tea with your friends, and it's like, some of those things are true in some Fire Emblem games, but not all Fire Emblem games. So it will be interesting to start hearing from people who pick up Engage and who maybe don't like it because of that, right? Uh,
Mana surge.
no, that gold is for my cow. Activate cow. No, don't poison my cow. That would be kind of hardcore if the enemy poisoned your cow and when you ate it everybody else became poisoned. I'm glad that's not the case, but that would be intense. Why can't I cast? Oh, did they drain my mana, those bastards? Okay. Yeah, this always happens. Um, Malone says Disgaea is funny. Not played last few of them though. They do seem quite similar with each other, and I think maybe that's what it was. I started playing it and I was like, "Oh, this is exactly the same as Disgaea 5." Like the changes are very much just visual and not even that different, right? It's like Disgaea 6 really leans into sort of like it's kind of making fun of itself and other RPGs like it in that your characters can reach level 9,999 or something like that, or maybe 999,999. Um, and it's like, yeah, you get into one fight and your character goes up like 25 levels, right, in the process. So it's like, yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same number of levels. They just like messed it up or like messed with it so that you get more levels. And it's meant to be a joke, right? Same thing with like amounts of damage. Like your character starts on with like 300,000 hit points, so that like every time they get hit, it's like a huge number, but they're still not dead. So I appreciate that, I guess, but it's not like a core difference, right? You're still throwing your friends across the board. You're still like trying to line up
Mana surge.
attacks so that multiple units can join in on the attacks. Um, the I think the big difference really is
Mana surge.
there's a thing in 5 too called like super reincarnation where you basically reset a character to level 1 but all of their stats go up. And why did I do that? I did that totally wrong. Disgaea 6 is like all about that. They're like usually you don't get access to super reincarnation until later in the game. In this one it's available almost from the beginning and they're like try it like immediately. They're like kill one of your characters and bring him back to life. Um, but the thing about super reincarnation is that it's like the benefits of it are are very much not obvious, right? It's like if you're a casual player, you can play the entire game without super reincarnating someone, at least in 5, right? Because I did that. I mean, I think I tried super reincarnation with um, just to try it with what with like a troop, not even like a main character. Um, and it's like it's hard to gauge how good it is, right? So it's like if they're banking on this one mechanic that wasn't very prominent in the last one and they're bringing it front and center, that might be good. The problem is that it's a very like gamey mechanic. It's a mechanic that like people that look at stats would care about, like people that are playing for like the rush of just like the tactical side or who like the way the characters look or whatever. Like super reincarnation doesn't do much for you. I'm sure it's powerful, but it's just not a very interesting thing. Let's see. Malone says, but I like the setting and how it's not serious at all. Guess they can go overboard with it too. Yeah. I don't know if you've played this Gaia 5. That would be my recommendation. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the characters. It walks a very fine line. Like, it walks a good line between funny and serious. It's like the characters can still have serious motivations and it be like a very jokey show or a jokey game. And I think this Gaia 5 just perfect. Cow activated. Yes, always the first thing that I want to happen is to activate cow. Malone says I especially find the concept of prinnies funny, but that says something about me. I guess prinnies are great. Prinnies are hilarious and they're fun troops. If you walk in and you're like, well, I can beat this game with I can beat this map with 8 troops instead of 10. Bring 2 prinnies and throw them at something, right? Because that's the thing. If you don't know, prinnies are like these penguin demons, and their every unit has a special ability, right? Some of them deal more damage under certain circumstances. Some of them like auto block for other people. Some of them auto attack if something happens. The Prinny's special ability is that they explode if you throw them. And Disgaea is all about throwing your troops. Like sometimes to move through a map, you have to throw troops across like a chasm, or if you need to move fast enough, like if you only have like 5 turns to accomplish something, you're gonna have to start throwing troops so you can give them that movement boost, right? So one thing you can do is you can throw Prinnies at the enemies and blow them up. And one thing that I was kind of sad about, but it makes sense and I'm okay with it, is that in Disgaea 5, I don't remember if that's true in other Disgaeas, but in Disgaea 5, all of your demon, like all of your monster troops, could turn into weapons. Like they could transform into a weapon. So you could turn a Prinny into a Prinny sword, and I was like, "Oh, cool! I have a Prinny sword." But the reason why you want to turn a demon unit into a weapon is because then the unit that picks up and uses that weapon gets their special ability, right? So if you have like the actually I don't remember. I want to say like the fungus guys had a thing that dealt more damage against female units, which is a thing. So take that as you will. So if you gave that bow to another character, they would get that bonus against female units, right, or something like that. Um, so if you turned a Prinny into a sword and then you threw the guy wielding that sword, they would explode because they get the Prinny's ability. Um, Malone says it's much like the idea from Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, but in those it's like a requirement to get high level demons. Yeah. Execute 2 or 3 low level ones for bone high level character for one high level character. Yeah, sure. Yeah, they are like weird stuffed penguin things who are literally anything from servants to ammo. All are occupied by soul of piety thieves and small time crooks. Yeah. So yeah, if you're looking for a Disgaea to start with, I would recommend 5. I just had a really good time with it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me and I'm weird. Maybe I need to give Disgaea 6 another chance, but I have to be feeling it, so we'll see. We'll see if I'm ever like, you know what? I'm going to go back and play that game. I've done it in the past. The first time I played Fallout, I was like, I hate this game. I'm not playing it anymore. Um, and then my wife, who wasn't my wife at that point, she's just a friend at that point, was like, you need to play Fallout 3. And I'm like, I've already played it. And she's like, you don't understand. This is my favorite game. You need to try again. And I want to say she didn't just get me the game, but she found me like an Xbox to play it in. She's like, I got you this Xbox. Play this game. And I was like, okay, okay, all right. This was long after it had come out, so the Xbox 360, I think that it played in, wasn't that expensive at that point, right? And it was probably a used PlayStation anyway. So I played it, and the second time I played it, I was like, okay, what does this game want me to do? And once I figured out the way that things worked, I was like, okay, I can now make a character who gets around the things that I don't like, and then which will allow me to actually play the game as opposed to dying and getting frustrated constantly. So yeah. Okay, so today is a short stream, a very short stream. I just wanted to, it's been a while since we've, like, I skipped a week. Let's open 10 chests. Yeah, I skipped a week, and then this week I've just got a bunch of stuff I need to do. So and then we're recording Critical Hit later tonight. So I probably gonna leave it here. Let me see if we got anything new. Nope. All of these cards we already had. Sand Cobra. But yeah, so we'll wrap it up here. Let me see. I want to thank you guys for coming by, for talking to me about D&D. That's the other thing is like I wanted to. I knew that people wanted to talk about D&D, so um, seemed like a good opportunity to engage the audience about it. Um, Ostelay Metauli says I tried Fallout when I was 12. Died from first rat and never tried it again. I think it was Fallout 1, maybe 2. Well, those games are very different from Fallout 3, so I can't speak to that. I've actually never played the old Fallouts. They look fun, but I've never played them. Recording Steven's new campaign. Yes, we're already done with Drifters. We're recording Steven's new thing, which I think he's already officially announced, but I don't remember, so I can't talk about it too much. Um, Orsolman says, "Wait, Steven is now DMing. Now I need to catch on Starfinder." Yep, yep. After Drifters, Steven's gonna start his new campaign. So yeah, if you haven't been catching up, first off, catch up with Drifters because it's very good, right? I as a player, I really enjoyed it, and I think Kevin did an excellent job. And then you can listen to Steven do his thing and be a game master. So that'll be interesting, right? Okay. Uh, so yes, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys. I enjoyed the time that we get to spend mostly bagging on D&D, but D&D deserves it, so it's okay. Um, so yeah, we will see you guys soon, and yeah, yes, thank you.